BA Honours Psychology, PSY 05, Psychological Research. Hello friends, how are you? You must be enjoying this paper. Actually, I say this paper is a base because the research provides us the new theories, the new systems. So this is a very basic, fundamental, I can say, paper which you must go thoroughly and try to understand each and every concept. Now, in this method, when we go to the field, we have to collect the data. Now, for the data collection, there are so many techniques: interview, observation, case study, rating scale, semantic differential, then experiments. One of the basic technique is the psychological testing, psychological tests. Now, psychological test is one of the very basic technique on which we emphasize and it give the importance. When psychological test is not an easy to prepare, it is a long time process. We have to prepare the items, then we do the item analysis. After item analysis, we determine the reliability of the test, validity of the test, and then prepare the norms. It is all process by which psychological test is constructed. Now, when you choose any test for research or for the individual study, first see whether test is reliable or not, valid or not, item analysis is proper or not, norms are provided or not. Only then we can use those tests. So, the basic characteristics of a good test is its reliability, validity and the norms. Today, we will talk about reliability in little bit detail. I will try to explain that what is reliability and what are the methods to determine reliability. So, now let us start reliability. The tests used in psychological measurement give quantitative description of individual in terms of the extent to which they possess or manifest various psychological traits. If a test is administered several times to an individual, usually he doesn't obtain the same score in all applications. Sometimes the score change in a systematic fashion, increasing or decreasing in a magnitude or fluctuating regularly in a cyclic fashion. On the other occasions, the score earned by an individual may fluctuate in a random or unsystematic fashion. If this state of affair occurs, it means that one cannot depend too much upon any single score earned by the individual. It is from this unsystematic variation in the scores earned by an individual on repeated application of the test, the problem of reliability of measurement arises. Now, when you administer psychological test on an individual, the data which you are getting is quantitative. In this paper, the very first topic is qualitative and quantitative research. Now, in quantitative research, the data is in the form of the numbers. Now, IQ 104, personality this, that. So, this is in the numbers. Now, if you administered a single test on the same individual, it is just not possible that if I am getting 80 marks at this moment, after some time I will again get 80 marks. The scores may vary, but the fluctuation may be little bit, around about. But if the fluctuation is very unsystematic, sometimes the score is getting, I am getting 18 now, on the second I am getting only 15 or only 20, that means I can't rely on the scores or the test which is providing me the result. So, because of these unsystematic errors, the problem of the reliability occurs. The word reliability, again, liable, on whom you can trust. On whom I can trust, which is consistent in approach, who's not consistent, I can't rely. I am a teacher, I am a student psychology, I am a professor. Number of times we check your copies. Suppose a copy comes to me and I give you marks 74 out of 100. After 1 month, you remove the cover page. We don't give any marks on the inside. We only give marks on the cover page. You remove the cover page and after 1 month, give me the new copies, the second, third semester. You are in second semester. Now, in the second semester, after 3 months, you just mix that copy, putting a new cover and give the bundle to me. Now, if I am reliable, consistent, I gave you 74 in the first scoring, first copy checking. If I am reliable, the marks may be 75, 76, 78, 72, 70. I am reliable, I am consistent, but if earlier I gave you 74 and now I am giving you only 20 marks, I am not reliable, I am not consistent. Because of such problems, the problem of the reliability occurs in the psychological testing. McNamara 1969 has termed systematic errors as constant errors because they affect all the measurement in the same direction, and unsystematic error as variable or random or chance error because scores tend to vary now this way or now that way. Now, McNamara says the errors can be classified into systematic and unsystematic. Systematic means which are constantly deviating the score, 5 score up, 5 score low side. I can very well guess that I can control that. But if the errors are unsystematic, I am just not aware. Sometimes they are, the score is increasing in the magnitude very high, then very low, very high, very low, then average. Fluctuations are random, then I can't control. So, McNamara says the problems can be systematic or it may be the unsystematic problem. So, the problem of the reliability occurs due to the unsystematic errors, not because of the systematic errors, because systematic errors I can reckon with, and if I can reckon with, I can recognize with that, I can understand, I can control, or I can make the interpretation. But because of the unsystematic error, the problem of the reliability occurs. Reliability denotes consistency of a psychological test over a period of time. Generally, in broader sense, reliability can be as consistency in the scores. If a test is repeated over a period of time, reliability can be denoted with the help of reliability coefficients that can be statistical, computed or calculated. Now, reliability denotes what I have told you, consistency. If you are consistent in your approach, I can rely on you. Today, I came in your class, suppose it is an offline class, not online, offline class, and I am having this book in my hand. A student asks me, sir, can I take this book today at home? I can say, go beta, you can take. So, when you will bring back this book? So, tomorrow when I will come in the class, I will return you. Tomorrow when the student comes, I say, where is my book? So, I forgot in the home. Tomorrow I will bring. Next day I say, where is my book? Sir, actually I just forgot. Next day, where is my book? Sir, today I am not coming from my home, I was in some friend's house. So, tomorrow I will bring that book. Now, will I give again, second time, a book to that individual? No, because he is not consistent. I can't rely because he is deviating from day to day. Now, a student takes a book from me. Beta, when you will return this book? Sir, after 2 days, I will return the book. So, after 2 days, when I will come in the class, I didn't start my lecture. He says, sir, it is your book. Sir, can I take this book today? Sir, when you will bring back? Tomorrow I will bring back. So, next day he gives me the book. Now, I can rely on that individual, on that student, I will like to give my book to that. Similarly, in the reliability, if the test is administered twice and the scores are consistent, that means thus it is reliable, we can rely on the scores, and it is calculated by the statistical correlation coefficient. And correlation coefficient we will talk about in statistical analysis. So, it is not only qualitative, I will imagine, it will be specific value. I will tell you later on. If the correlation is 0.78 or 0.80, then I will say 0.20 if perfect correlation is 1 and reliability coefficient which is coming is 0.80, then I will say 0.20, 20% there is a error in the score and 80% there is a accuracy. So, we can calculate reliability with the help of the correlation coefficient. Now, it was the general definition. Now, we will talk about that in the technical terms what is reliability. Reliability as an index of true variance. First, as a layman, I explained you what is reliability. Now, I will talk about the technical. According to Guilford, 1954, reliability is the proportion of true variance in the obtained score. That is the most logical definition of reliability and is best brought out by the Rulon 1939 and Flanagan 1937 formula. Rulon equation actually expresses the complementary statement that reliability is equal to 1 minus the proportion of error variance. Kurlinger has also stressed upon this aspect, which he defines reliability as the proportion of the error variance to the total obtained variance of the data yielded by measuring instrument subtracted from 1. The index 1 indicates perfect reliability. As I just explained you, it's a technical definition. Reliability actually is a proportion of true variance. In your score, what is the error variance and what is the true variance? More the error variance, that means more unsystematic errors are creeping in, entering in, my test is not reliable. If the error variance is less and true variance is more, for example, true variance is 0.92, that means 92% true variance and 0.08 will be the error variance, that is 8%. Now, true variance is only 0.25, that means error variance is 0.75. In your score, 75% is the error. So, we can't rely on the data which is loaded by the 75% error component. So, Guilford, tried to explain in the term of the true variance. That is why I gave the title reliability as an index of true variance. And perfect reliability is 1. If the reliability is 1, that means 1 means 100%. There is no error variance. Now, how to calculate the reliability? There are various methods to determine to collect the reliability, and we will talk about few methods. First, I will name. The main methods to determine the reliability are test-retest method, alternate form reliability, split half reliability, Kuda-Richardson, scorer reliability, standard error of measurement is a type of the reliability. So, let us talk few methods of the reliability. The first method is test-retest method. Test-retest method. Now, as the name implies, test-retest. Test-retest, that means you will administer the test to a group. You will have to take the group, a sample, मान लो 40, 30, 100. On 100 individual, you are administering a test today, and after a gap that you will decide. How you will decide? We take on later on, 7 days, 10 days, 1 month, 15 days, you will again administer the same test to the same group, and then you will find out the correlation coefficient between the two. Now, if there is a consistency in the score, there is no effect of the time, then the correlation will be high. So, name indicates test retest, that means test just today and after a gap retest the same test on the same sample. That reliability will be called as the test retest reliability. Now, it is very popular and most of the time it is used, and number of times the most people use this type of the reliability. Now, I just read it out. The most obvious method for finding the reliability of a test score is by repeating the same test on a second occasion. I have just explained to you, second occasion 10 days, 7 days, 15 days, second occasion. The reliability coefficient, which we usually call RTT, reliability coefficient case is simply the correlation between the scores obtained by the same person on the two administration of the test. Same group, two administration, today and after a gap of time. The error variance corresponds to the random fluctuation of performance from one test session to other. These variations may result in part from uncontrolled testing conditions such as extreme changes in weather, sudden noises or distractions. To some extent, they arise from changes in the condition of the examinee himself, as illustrated by illness, fatigue, emotional strain, worry, recent experience of pleasant or unpleasant nature, etc. Now, what I read, just try to understand. This reliability, though commonly used, but has a particular certain problem. And the problem is that this is a double administration. Today and after 5 days are the 7 days. Now, after 5 days or the 7 days, the gap which you have chosen for the retesting, will the conditions, whether it is environmental or the psychological or the physical condition of the sample will be the same? Today, my mood is very fine, I am very happy, but after 7 days some happen and I am disturbed. If I am disturbed, then that mental state may affect the score. I have some worry, some tension, some anxiety, I am suffering from fever, I have some problem at home, number of things are that. Today environment is very good, now after 7 days it is very hot and there is no electricity, no AC fan is working, but I have to teach, I have to take the test, the physical conditions are changing. So, double administration problem, the conditions may change and it may bring the error in your scores. So, this problem is one of the biggest problem of the test-retest reliability because of the double administration. Test-retest reliability shows the extent to which the scores on a test can be generalized over different occasions. The higher the reliability, the less susceptible the scores are to random daily changes in condition of the examinee or of the testing environment. Cronbach 1979 termed this reliability coefficient as generalizability. It can be said that test-retest reliability measures the very important point, and that is temporal stability. Whatever the errors will come in the test, that will become because of the time factor, the gap temporal, not the content, because the content is the same test you are using, content the same, but temporal conditions are changing. So, the error which creeps in test-retest reliability method is because of the temporal factor. So, this reliability measures temporal stability. When retest reliability is reported in the test manual, the interval over which it was measured should always be specified in the manual. Now, what is manual? Manual is a small booklet in which you give the details of your test. When you report that reliability, test-retest reliability of my test is 0.78, you must mention that it is with a gap of the 7 days, 10 days, 15 days, 20 days, whatever you have taken, the time interval should be mentioned so that user may know it, that what was the gap of the time. Time interval between two administration is an important issue. Now, a question may come in your mind, how much time you should keep, what should be the gap? So, time interval between the two administration is an important issue in this type reliability. If the time interval is very short, the practice and memory will affect in the improvement of the score. However, in test used for small children, the interval should not be long because there is a rapid growth in this age. Now, you have done this test today and just after 1 day, you are re-administering the same test. Now, after 1 day, number of things may be fresh in my mind. If they are fresh in my mind, then that practice memory may facilitate or may enhance my scores. It is not because of the temporal factor, it is because the gap was too short. So, gap should neither be too short nor too long. But if the test is for the small kids, small children, because we develop the test to test the personality IQ of the small children, then the gap should not be too long. We shouldn't say that I will test today and after 2 months I will retest, because the growth rate of the small children is very fast. After 2 months, the growth rate will be accelerated. If the growth rate is accelerated, then that growth may also affect in the improvement of the scores. So, in small kids, it should be short, and in the case of the elders, it should neither be too short nor too long. Now, we come to the second type of the reliability, and that is alternate form reliability. As I mentioned, that in test-retest reliability, there are problem of the double administration. double administration that we have talked about, physical, psychological, environmental states. Now, let us see what happens in the alternate form reliability. One way of avoiding the difficulties encountered in the test-retest reliability is through the use of alternate form of the test. The same person can thus be tested with one form on the first occasion and with another comparable form on the second. The two forms can be given one just after the other or with a gap of time. The correlation between the scores obtained on the two forms represent the reliability coefficient of the test. This reliability coefficient is a measure of both temporal stability and consistency of the response. This coefficient thus combines two types of the reliability. Now I will just first explain, then I will tell what are the two types. You see, another method is called the alternate form reliability. Alternate. It is also a parallel form reliability. It is rarely used because it is a very difficult. Why? You will just understand. In alternate form, you will have to prepare the two forms of your test, form A and form B, and those forms should be identical, should be parallel to each other. Meaning thereby, if there are 100 items in the form A, the different 100 items should be in the form B. The difficulty level of the items in the test A should be similar of the difficulty level of the form B, parallel form B. The content should be parallel. If you have taken 5 fruits in the first form, then 5 fruits should be in the second form. You have taken 5 economical terms in the first form, then the 5 economical terms should be in the second form. In each and every respect, both the forms should be identical. That is why it is alternate or the parallel form. So, it is difficult to prepare why I should prepare two forms. I can manage with the one form. So, this reliability is rarely used, but it is one of the very good, very different type of the reliability. Now, listen, you have now two form, alternate parallel for form A, form B. Now, it is up to you. You can use form A, and just after administering form A, you can use the form B. Administer the form B. That means, if you are giving form A and just after form A, form B, double administration is solved, the psychological state, the mental state, the environmental states are the same. So, error will not because of the temporal factor. Here, form A and just after the form B, the error will be because of the content factor, the item, the parallel form content error. And if you are form A after 10 days form B, now there will be the error temporal plus the content. Now the content is different in form parallel form, the content is different. Now if the content is different, the error combination is content plus the gap of the 10 day, the temporal. So if you are doing immediate, that will be the single administration, the error will be because of the content, and if you are the delayed form, not immediate, delayed form, then the error will be because of the content and the time factor. Now it depends on you that if you want to do immediate administration or you want delayed. Now that is why I have written, if both the forms are administered without time gap, then error variance will be because of the content, and if the two forms are administered with a gap of time, then the error variance will be because of the two factor content and the time. I have just explained to you. In the development of the alternate form, care must be taken that two forms are truly parallel. I have just explained, truly, not casually, truly parallel. The test should contain the same number of items, and the item should have expressed in the same form and should cover the same type of the content. I have just explained you. The range and the level of difficulty of the item should be same. Instructions, time limit, illustrative examples, format and all of the aspects of the test must likewise be checked for comparability. If you are given tests are of two types, speed and power test. In the speed, time limit is there. In the power test, no time limit is there. If you are given 20 minutes for the form A, 20 minutes will be form B. Whatever the instructions are there in form A, the same will be in the form B. If you are given 5 examples before administering the test, so that the subject may be acquainted with the nature of the test, the same type of the 5 examples will be in the form B. So that means it should be truly parallel, identical. So the first was test retest reliability, second was the alternate form of the reliability. Now come to the split half reliability. It is a very typical and different type of the reliability. It will solve the problem of the double administration. It will solve the problem of the double administration. So why split half? You will just come to know. First let me read, then I will explain. Split half reliability is that form where a single administration of one form of the test is used to determine the reliability. In this type of the reliability, single administration of a single test, go back to the test retest, double administration of a single test, am I right? That was the test retest. You come to the alternate, immediate alternate, single administration of two tests, form A and form B, delayed, double administration of the double test, form A and form B. But this is the reliability where single administration of a single test is used. So this reliability is very, very important, and most of the authors, test constructors do calculate this reliability and mention in their manual. Split half reliability is that form where a single administration of one form of the test is used to determine the reliability. In such a way, two scores are obtained for each person by dividing the test into comparable halves. It is apparent that split half reliability provides a measure of consistency with regard to content sampling. Temporal stability of the score doesn't enter into such reliability because only of the one administration. This type of reliability coefficient is sometimes called as the coefficient of internal consistency, since only a single administration of a single form is required. Now, as I have told you, because you have administered the test single form on the one time, so temporal factor is nullified, that will not enter in. So whatever the error will be, that error will be because of the content of the items. One thing you shouldn't confuse. Number of times we have seen that students get confused. Split half means the test will be divided first in two halves, and then if first I will administer the first half and then I will administer the second half. No. If I am splitting first half and then I am administering the second half, it is a double administration, isn't it? It will be double administration. Here, the splitting will be done after you have taken the test, you have filled the test. I have given subject test to my subjects, to the students, to the testee. After getting their responses, now I will divide my test in the two halves. If there are 100 items, I will divide into two halves. That will be called as a split half. So split is done after the administration, not before the administration. Now, problem is there. A big problem is there. How to split the test? How to split the test? Should I do first half and the second half? If I do the first and the second half, what problem may emerge? Let us see. To find the split half reliability, the first problem is how to split the test in order to obtain the most comparable halves. Any test can be divided in many different ways. In most tests, the first half and the second half would not be comparable owing to differences in nature and difficulty level of the items, as well as the cumulative effect of the warming up, practice, fatigue, boredom, etc. So, the most adequate procedure to divide the test will be odd even method. Now, try to understand what I want. This is very, very important point for this type of the reliability. The one is very simple method that I divide my test in two halves. Suppose there are 20 items. Total items are 20, are the 50 are the 20. So you have taken the test, you have responded on all the 20 items. So I take 1 to 10 first half and 11 to 20 second half. But as you know that in intelligence tests, the first items are easy and then the items are gradually increased in the difficulty. That is why in the question what we talk about the funnel approach, general items first, then specific items later on. So if I am dividing my test in first half and the second half, then the first half will be easy and the second half will be tough. So if the first is easy, the second half is tough, then there may be the difference in the score naturally. Score in the first half will be high and the second half will be low. When if test is lengthy, 100 items, if you are doing the 100 items, in the last part you may be exhausted, the fatigue may enter in. You are warm up, you are enthusiastic in the beginning of the test, but as the test was long, you get bored, boredom entered, that may negatively affect the later on part of the test. Now, you are not acquainted with the system. So, in the earlier part, in the initial part, in the beginning part, you are not acquainted. So, you are slow, but now you have got the practice. In the later part, you got the advantage. So, number of problems may emerge if I divide the test first half and the second half. Then what is the solution? How to divide the test? The best solution is odd even method. That means suppose odd even, even which is divided by 2, odd which is not divisible by 2. So, what I 3? 1, item number 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, clear? You are getting my point? On one side, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, the second side. Two halves are there. Now, if the item number 12th is difficult, so in one form, item 13 is also difficult. So, on one side, there is a 12th item and on the second side, there is a item number 13. So, difficulty is balanced. If there is a fatigue in the last part, clear, the fatigue is balanced. Now, 12, 14, 13, 15, the fatigue is balanced out. So, the best method to divide the test is not doing first half or the second half. The best method is the odd even method. So, after administration, divide the test by odd even 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11 like go on 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 and 1, 3, 5, 7 like go on in this way. We will divide the test. Now, once the two half scores have been obtained, now you have got the two halves, first half and the second half by odd even method. They may be correlated by the usual method, that the product movement correlation. We will talk about the Spearman's correlation. Pearson's we will do Spearman's rank order. We will talk about the Pearson correlation later on. Since the correlation method is between the two halves, so reliability obtained is only a half of the test. For example, if the entire test consists of 100 items, the correlation is computed between the two sets of score, each of which is based on only 50 items. In both test reliability and alternate form reliability is based on the full number of items in the test. Now, very important point. We usually sometime when we come to the objective questions, usually ask this question. Now, when you are calculating the correlation in the test retest or in the alternate form, the complete set of items in both the forms were there. First testing, retesting, 100 items. Clear? Alternate form, 100 items. Now, in split half, 50 item and 50 items. So, that means the correlation is not between the complete two forms, it is between the two halves. Whereas, the reliability is not of the halves, reliability should be of the whole test. So, in split half, to calculate, to know the reliability of the whole test, a formula is applied and that formula is known as Spearman-Brown formula. So, sometimes you ask the question, Spearman-Brown formula is used or applied in which form of the reliability? The answer is split half reliability. To find out the reliability of a full test, Spearman-Brown formula is applied. What is Spearman-Brown formula? RTT is equal to 2RHH upon 1 plus RHH. I have solved it, I will show you. Upon 1 plus RHH. Now, what is RTT? Reliability of the TT total test, not half, total test. What is RHH? Correlation of half of the test. What half of the test? Odd and even. Now, there are two, correlation will always between the two sets, corresponding relation. Now, it is between the two halves. So, RHH will be correlation of the half of the test. And clear? One is the fixed. Now, suppose, now let us calculate correlation between two halves is 0.78, is 0.78. Now, 0.78, that is RHH. Now, what will be the reliability of the test? So, 2 into 0.78, 1.56 upon 1 plus RHH, 1 plus RHH is 178. So, 1 plus 0.78, 1.78. Now, 1.56 divided by 1.78 is equal to 0.87. So, that means the reliability of the whole test is now 0.87. So, that means you see, if it is two halves, 0.78, what is reliability? True variance. True variance. What is the amount of the true score and what is the amount of the error variance. Now, if the reliability we say 0.78, that means 0.22 subtracted from 1, 0.22, 22% error variance and 78% true variance. That means the reliability of the test is low. It is not low because of the test, it is low because of the two halves. When we corrected it by split half, now reliability is coming 0.87. That means subtract 0.87 from 1, it is 0.13. That means error component is now only 13% and true variance is now 0.80%. So, reliability is enhanced. Clear? So, in split half reliability, when you calculate this type of the reliability, the split half formula should be applied when you are using this reliability. So, we talked about test-retest reliability, double administration of a single test, alternate form, two forms, it may be immediate, it may be delayed, and then splitting the test in the two forms. Now, another type of the reliability is called inter-scorer or scorer reliability. Now, this reliability is commonly used where, this is a very, very important point you try to understand. In testing, there are projective techniques where the test material is ambiguous and you are to just make the interpretation. TAT, Rorschach, Rosenwick PF test, sentence completion, like that. Now, you might have seen, if you might have not seen, you are in honors, we will do somewhere when it will come in your course. In Rorschach, there are 10 ink blots where the different blots are made. Blots are just ink blots. Now, try to listen me carefully and try to understand carefully. If I do the test administration, test retest. So, I say I saw 2 men dancing in the first test. Now, that blot is in mind. After 10 days, when you give the test, I will say 2 men dancing. That is in my mind. Every card has unique blots. Unique blots. The value of each card is different. Some cards are colored, some cards are black and white, some cards are chromatic and achromatic, colored and the black and white. So, the value is different. So, if I do the split half, I can't do because the value will be different. So, then how to calculate the reliability? So, in those tests, we will use inter-scorer reliability. That means, I have administered the test, I have taken the protocol, you are responsible with me, I will make the interpretation, then the second psychologist, Mr. V or Mr. Y, he will also interpret the same scores, the same responses which you are given. Now, we will try to find that whether there is an agreement between me and him. If there is an agreement between me and him, that means we are doing calculation properly, interpreting the properly. This reliability is called as the interscorer reliability, and again I am mentioning that this type of the reliability is mainly used in the projective techniques. We can't do test retest because of the problem of the memory, problem of practice, and we can't split because if we are splitting, then the value of the each card will vary, and alternate form, it is very difficult to prepare the parallel form of the verbal. We can prepare 5 fruits here, 5 fruits here, but identical blots, it is very difficult because every blot will have the different meaning. When I say blot, you means you try to understand. If you see a clean sky and there is a patch of the cloud, patch of the cloud. Now that patch is ambiguous. Now, if you ask 10 persons, they give what is appearing to you, responses of all the 10% will be different because everybody will interpret in its own way what is in his mind. A child may say it is a elephant, it is a tiger, because the fantasy of the child is more with the animals. They like to zoo fantasy, cartoon shows. If you go to the old person, he may give the different response. Young person may give the different response. Similarly, blots, there are blots on the Rorschach tests. So it is very difficult to make the a parallel form. So interscorer reliability is used. And other form of reliability is called as the standard reliability as a standard error of measurement. It is an indirect way of calculating the reliability. The accuracy with which true scores can be estimated, that is, the width of the band with which the true scores may be expected to lie, is contingent upon the amount of measurement error. Measurement in all sciences are based on samples from where estimates of population are made with certain specified degree of confidence in the probability of occurrence. The representativeness of the sample as well as the margin of the error creeping in an instrument are the two sources which precipitate in the measurement. Generally, the amount of error associated with any obtained scores is unknown, but given the standard deviation and the reliability coefficient for a set of obtained score, the error of measurement can be estimated. It is termed as the standard error of measurement. Freeman 1965 called it absolute reliability. Now, when you do the test, you might have seen test retest, temporal factor, alternate form, content factor, split half, content error, alternate form delayed, content temporal factor, problem in the test. There are so many errors which may creep in that contributes to the error variance, reducing the reliability. Standard error of measurement tells us the composite, the complete, set, cumulative effect, I would say cumulative effect of the error on the test score. So, standard error of measurement indicates whatever the source may be, what is the cumulative source of errors in the test, and that is called as the standard error of measurement, and Freeman called it as the absolute reliability. McNamara in 1950 pointed out standard error indicates, which I have told you just now, the cumulative effect of all the sources of error, not one, not temporal, not content, not instruction, whatever they are, cumulative effect. Gullikson, very well-known psychometrician, 1950, has proposed that standard error estimates the reasonable limits of the true scores for the person with any given obtained score. In short, it can be concluded that standard error of measurement is an index of the extent of dispersion of error component in the obtained score. Now, as the reliability coefficient goes up, the standard error of measurement will go down. If the reliability is perfect, that means 1, the standard error measurement equals to 0. If reliability is 1, that means perfect. There will be no error component, it will be 0. How to calculate the standard error of measurement? The formula to calculate standard error of measurement is that standard deviation total T under root 1 minus RTT. Standard deviation T is the standard deviation of the total test. You know standard deviation how to calculate, and RTT reliability of the coefficient. Whatever the reliability you have obtained, calculate the standard deviation of the scores and apply the formula. You will know the standard error measurement. If the magnitude of standard error measurement is less, test is more reliable. If the standard magnitude is higher, the test is less reliable. So, these are the techniques by which we can determine reliable. If the test is not reliable, the reliability is low, there is no use of using that test for the research purpose or for the purpose of knowing the individual problem. So, a test must be reliable. So, in nutshell we can say, if I am to give brief, I will say in 3-4 lines, reliability means consistency in the scores. If the scores are consistent, it is reliable. There are different methods: test, retest, do, then after a gap of 1 day administer the same test on the same sample. Alternate forms, prepare the 2 alternate forms. It may be identical, equally identical, parallel. It may be administered immediately. It may be administered with a gap of time. Then split half test, do the split half. After administration, do it splitting by odd even and apply split half formula that will give you the reliability of the whole test. If it is a case of the projective technique, use the interscorer reliability. And I have given you an additional, you can use standard error measurement that will indicate that what type of the reliability, what the cumulative effect of errors in your true variance are in your scores. So, this was all about reliability, a very important aspect of psychological test. So, this was all about reliability. Thank you very much.